Warning, this show contains explicit materials. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. I think I'm going to start using that as my new opening, you guys, for all the shows. That way I don't screw up anymore and start carpeting F-bombs and stuff throughout the show, and people can learn to, shut it off. But I want to talk about today is episode 134, Freedom and Independence. And I'm thinking about doing a series of this. And today's series is relationships, a little bit of personal relationships, business relationships, and relationships with yourself. And what it pertains to freedom and independence is to come to yourself, understand that your relationships mean a lot that you do with other people, whether it's for your life or for money, for business. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. These are all just my opinions today. I realize this could be a little touchy, but we're going to go ahead and go with it. And hopefully we don't offend anybody. Just know it's just all my own opinions. So it's a lovely, lovely, lovely Monday night. And I happen to have a free night without my special needs child, for those of you who follow. And I get to record. I just wanted to do some work. And I'm excited to be here and spend this Monday night on my night off with you guys and record this episode. And let's jump right into it. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff. And if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and for the planet, exploring alternatives to the daily grind through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw, the way you want. Normally, I do these shows on my work commute because I'm always so busy. So there's no humming in the background for this episode. Yay! Something without some humming in the back. God-awful noise. So hopefully these shows aren't too bad for you guys when I do them with the, let me know in the comments below. For those of you who don't know, there's a Gmail. Email me, tell me how full of shit I am or how bad the sound quality is, whatever. But we just try to get these shows out, the information, and communicate whenever what the fuck is we? Well, me, myself, and I, all of us together, all the monkeys in my fucking head, we try to get a show for you guys out as much as possible. But today, I'm excited to get into this one. I think that this is going to help us out. I think that each individual out there needs to do some realizations. Again, my own opinion. This is stuff that I've learned. My life has drastically improved getting out of certain relationships, and I think that we just keep moving forward. I think we need to be positive, just to jump in. We need to stay positive, and it's very difficult to stay positive when you have negative people around you. And I want to talk a little bit about obligation and stuff like that. But you know what, guys? We need to think about our planet first. We need to think about ourselves, I would say, at this moment, second. But those two are the most important. If we don't have a planet to live on, how the fuck are we supposed to be happy? And if we don't know ourselves, and these two, I guess, are interchangeable. If we don't know what we need, we don't have liberation and independence in ourselves, then how the fuck are we supposed to have that with somebody else? How the hell are we supposed to liberate the animals and insects and microbiologies and people and plants and everything and animals around us when we can't even help ourselves? So we need to help ourselves, and that's what I hope that the goal is today, to get that message conveyed out there. So we're talking about relationships today, and when I open up with this, I like to say, choose your relationships wisely. This goes into personal relationships, this goes into business, and I think this goes with yourself as well. People change, you'll change, the world changes, and everything should. The only consistent thing that I would say, in my opinion, and it's not my words, I think there's others that have said it maybe in a different way, is the only consistent thing on this world is that nothing is consistent. Everything changes. But it's a positive. This is not negative. I think that it's fantastic. I think that we all should change. We all should always be learning new things. We should always be evolving to better ourselves. Isn't there always, like ask yourself a question, isn't there always a better way to do something? There's always improvements. For those of you who are longtime listeners of this show, you know that we're always looking for solutions, not problems. And the solutions become when you start seeing the freedom and independence in your own mind, in your own resources, in your money, in yourself, and everything, where you can't stop learning. You can't stop seeing solutions to problems. You can't stop seeing opportunities. You train yourself, as we said in the show many, many times, is that it's like a muscle. And once you keep practicing on that, you keep developing it. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger with giant biceps, I think it was what's his name? The guy, Stephen Hawking, was saying that the brain is actually a muscle. If we don't use it, it atrophies. I'm 100%. That was my philosophy. And when I heard him say that, it felt like cha-ching. Doesn't mean that just because he said it, it's the end all of end alls, it is so. I don't fucking know about all these things, but I do know that once we start exercising the brain a lot and start exercising positivity and things and start developing those muscles, as I say, to keep moving forward, to keep not be afraid of failures and things like that. We lose these problematic, these problems, I guess, inhibitions. I don't know if that's the right word, the definition, but we're just basically not afraid to fail, and we keep trying and be authentic to ourselves and to the world, and we keep practicing that, not giving a fuck what anybody thinks, which was the last podcast. You begin to strengthen yourself. So choose your relationships very, very, very wisely. And on the note that things change and people change, on the positivity, is that life would be pretty boring if we didn't. Can you imagine? Like, I think that's probably the problem, in my opinion, for a lot of us personally and also externally, that we want to get comfortable. We want to find a formula that works. And then we think that the formula is going to last forever. Like, we get in a comfort zone. Now we cannot have to think about anything. We don't have to evolve. We could just, like in the old days, the newspaper's at your doorstep, the milk's at your doorstep. You get nowadays you get your proper emails. You've got everything on autopilot, auto pay and things like that. And then someone hacks your fucking account. You have to be on top of things. You have to, as irritating as it sounds, things evolve very quickly, and this happens in nature. We get fires that come and burn down an entire mountain, and there's no more pine trees, maybe just a few. But then after those few pine trees that did survive, little tiny pine cones will fall off of them, and yet it doesn't happen overnight. There's a whole new forest that is born, and one far more superior and more stronger than the other was. I think a better explanation of that is like these beetles and stuff and blights and things like that eat a bunch of trees. They grow stronger. The weak ones get knocked off, and the strong survive. I don't want to make that a dismal one. That's a whole podcast in and of itself. Darwin's theory of survival. But things always change, and I think in this technological advanced society that we live in, this era and this time, a lot of tycoons, a lot of big guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, what's the other guy's name? Grant Cardone. A lot of these big tycoon business people are just saying, like, everything's always changing. Elon Musk, the shit you learn in school and mainly from college, and forget about your parents and your business colleagues and everything. Things become obsolete like within days in this day and age. So things are always changing. We should always be open to perspectives and kind of looking around and growing and branching off as a tree does. Lessons from nature is like one I haven't done in a long time on the show. Lessons from nature, a tree wise off and maybe it's facing the wrong direction and the wind blows it and cracks that limb. Well, another limb pops up on another area and there's information encoded in that tree, into that plant, that says, hey, we're dealing with some high winds here. So if we are going to extend some energy and put into some new growth, we might want to reinforce our fibers and do something a little different. Everything wants to live. Most things, I think, want to live. Some things just don't really care. They just want to survive. Hence, moving you from surviving to thriving is what this show is about. For you to grow limbs, grow them very strong, and get that information encoded inside your mind and use your mind like a muscle and move from just surviving in this world, in this day and age of changing things, and thrive. And understand that the mindset of things always changing may seem a little disruptive and a little irritating and out of your comfort zone, but it's going to happen with or without your consent. Things are always changing, but I think it's in a positive because we always get things new. As I started out with this whole part, is that new things are always cool. If everything stayed the same, we'd get boring. We'd get very bored, and we probably wouldn't even want to exist on this planet anymore. We always need change. We always want to be dazzled. And what better way than to follow everything that always changes and to see how you work with it, how you manipulate what you can and how you metamorphosize into something completely different, things that you never even knew that you had in you. So people change, everything changes, and it always should. So when it comes down to people, I would like to say in my observation, I guess in business, in marriage, I would say even your own children, is that there's the whole, this is my own saying, somebody might have said it before, if I offended you or you think that I stole it from you, I came up with it all my own, but I realize that there's so much information out there, so it's hardly anything original. But most people are in love with the dream, but not the reality. Most people live in the dream, but not the reality. What I've noticed in certain relationships and things that I've been in and experiences where people are wanting to try something new and they ask your advice and, they're like, well, what if I this, what if I that? And, and you start poking holes in their dreams and you say, well, before maybe you need something like a little thing called like money to get that thing off the ground. The dream sounds great, but are you going to have the follow through? Are you going to be able to make that thing happen? Are you willing to do the work to make that dream happen? And it doesn't happen to be just about business like money and things like that. I think even a friend relationship or a love relationship. I think that a lot of people adhere to authenticity and originality, and it seems like a cool thing, and we're entertained. As we talked about, everything changes. And in certain people's lives, they meet up with other people, and they're not born inside themselves. They're not birthed to themselves. They're not alive in themselves. So they see somebody else, and they adhere to them because it dazzles them. I've met people in my life that way too. I was like, holy shit, how does this stuff even happen? How is this person like they're like talented and beautiful and of course it's attractive. You want to be with this person. You want to experience things with this person. You basically just want to be that person sometimes. But we're not that person. And we have our own lives. And slowly, I think what we'd realize is that we're in love with the dream of possibly replicating that person, being with that person, that maybe that person could fill the hole, the void, the emptiness that we have inside of ourselves. When we never focus enough on ourselves to not have a void or a hole, that we could experience somebody for the beauty and the talent and things we have and not get dismantled by the allureness, by the bright lights of it, because we're comfortable inside of ourselves and happy that somebody else is happy. And I think that there's some people that don't have their shit together in their lives, and they are bedazzled, as they say, with other people. But they were in love, to sum it all up and not get all crazy with this shit, that they were in love with the dream of what they thought that this person could do for them, who they thought this person was. And then, as we said, things change. Maybe this person changes, whether it's in a love relationship or a friend, or maybe even a business or something, or maybe an actor that you adore. And all of a sudden they say something completely different in contrast to what they said before. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe it's fucking me. You're like, you just said something contrary to what you said a year ago. And it's like, yeah, you changed. You have these new ideas. So you need to, I would advise, nobody needs to do anything, but people should become into their own beings and be comfortable and be secure in themselves. But I think beyond that too, we need to realize the reality of stuff, of what it takes to actually get ahead in life, or to be happy, or to be fulfilled and not have that hole in ourselves, and not to have to rely on somebody else who's got their shit together, who took their dream and put it into reality, and then we all glue ourselves to that. I don't know much more I could say on that. I'm probably going to take up a lot. Holy shit, we're already on 14 minutes. Well, I'm hoping all this stuff comes out good for you guys, and I need to do a better job of just kind of getting out free and just letting it roll off the cuff instead of watching the timer. I've got this timer on my recorder where it's like it goes off and I'm like, oh shit, I'm taking up too much time. Maybe I'm talking too much. It's a lot of work. But anyways, nobody probably gives a shit about that. But let me know how I'm doing too. And sometimes I feel like I suck. Sometimes I just love what I'm doing though. And it's fun. That's why I'm out here on my one night off and spending it with you guys to do the show. So anyways, let's keep going. I hope this stuff, again, like I said, is helping you. The dream, but not the reality. I think that's a pretty big one, even for yourself. Hustlers and just getting buyers. Not buying stuff, just getting buyers. You'll see it in the description there. It's spelt wrong. I could tell because spell check's got it all in red. But we have hustlers and we have just people who just want to get by. And I think that's just fine. I think that a lot of people going off the dream and the reality, I think a lot of people are happy with the conveniences of life and having things all planned out and mathematically fucking square instead of all squiggly, and all over the place. Like I need to know that there's some sort of structure, even though in my opinion, life really has no structure. Shit just gets, look at this whole COVID-19 thing, and look at all these elections and, I never could imagine things like this would get this crazy. But you never know what's happening. There is no structure. You can try to adhere to stuff, but in order for people to get positive and to actually make it through this life, I look at, like for myself, I'm very happy. I feel like I'm successful. I'm not a millionaire. I'm a thousandaire. I do what I want, when I want for the most part. But I think that's because I'm a hustler. And I think in a lot of my business relationships and some of my people relationships was that I think that people would adhere to me, people trusted me to, go in business with and do things, in certain personal relationships and stuff. And they were happy to see somebody who's hardworking, busting ass, very chipper and everything. But it became, as we said earlier, the dream and the reality was like the dream, the ideas that they had of who and what I wasn't what I was. After the bedazzlement, wears off and all the good times and everything, well, not the good times, but probably good times. But all the firecrackers and everything, it just becomes too much. And I noticed that's been a lot in my life where it's like, dude, I thought we were going to calm down, whatever. And I'm like, no, this is what we do, man. We work. And then when we go play, like we play hard. We do everything like intense, I guess. If some of you are listening, you probably get what I'm saying. Some of you are probably going, what? This guy's fucking full of shit. A lot of us, I think, are very intense individuals. Few things are ever really shallow for me. Like I really don't watch TV and things like that. Oh shit, now I'm making it all personal. I'm making it about my fucking life. I'll just go off on a little rant here. I don't really watch movies. I can't. I'm always educating myself. I'm pumped up to change my life. I love having time off. All the things I've designed in my life is, I think the premise of this show is like working for me. And that's why I'm taking the gamble and the guts to come out and do this kind of show and voice my shit out there, because I want other people to be free. I want them to know that there's a different way and that it just takes a little bit of work and takes some going against the grain, some thinking outside the box, and shit's really actually good. We don't need to live in a shitty fucking world. We don't need to be doing the things that we fucking hate. We can actually work and do things that we like. We could take time off. And there's never been a better time in history, as far as what I know, than right now to actually put yourself out there and start something new and make a change in your life. But I'm a hustler. And if you are a hustler too, you have to realize that a lot of people are not. And that they like the energy, they like the fire, they like the explosions and everything. But after a while, it's like, shit, man, I need to calm things down, and I got to kind of do, I need to get away for a while. This is actually too much. I don't know exactly what my point is on that particular subject there, but I think that we need to learn to keep our eyes out, choose our relationships wisely, as I opened up with this thing. And you can kind of watch the people who are in love with the dream but not the reality. After a few runs, your couple rodeos, you kind of learn like, yeah, we'll just have to see, But I think that it's great. I think that it moves me into my next thing is it's our job informing but not forming. So let me say that again. It's our job or it's not even our job. It's our intentions, I guess. It's like with children, is to inform your children but not form your children. And as I said here, maybe your child's not a hustler. Maybe you're a hustler. And I see a lot of people that, well, you got to go to college, you got to this and that, and you got to make something of yourself. What if the kid doesn't give a fuck? What if the kid doesn't want to make something of itself? And it doesn't work this way. When we start forcing things, we start forming anybody and forming in our relationships, whether it's personal or in business, the person should already have it. As I said, they're growing into who they are. some people have just realized, I think, where they're like, I want to be me. I don't give a fuck what other people think about me. I want to be me. I don't need to drive a Ferrari to look fucking cool. I can drive a fucking old 96 pickup truck, which I'm recording in right now, like that fucking asshole fag fucking guy from the Up and In It show, looks like a fucking dork, and own all my shit free and clear, and yeah. But some people, I think, they just need to, I don't know, they just need to be left alone. They need to do their own shit. Even your own kids. I know some of this is probably going to piss off some people, but I would want you to ask yourself: is how well is it doing when you're ridiculing your child or your employees or your significant other, like trying to change them, trying to form them into something that you want to be so it fits your fucking life. I think that we got that shit all backwards. I think that we should let people grow into freedom and let them be who they're going to be. Of course, we need to teach them, ethics and things like that, and responsibilities. I always try to teach my kids, I'm like, be mindful of other fucking people. Make sure you pick up your trash when you go to somebody's house. Clean up after yourself. Make it so that when the next time you come, people are excited to see you and you're not a burden. But can I enforce these things? You can fucking try. I think that a lot of people, when it comes down to parenting, think that they have control, but you have no fucking control. Kids are going to do what they want to do. I know I did, and I know you ask yourself that question. One of my biggest theories for my life is to try to remember what it was when you were young, how you felt, what you thought about your elders, and what you thought about your parents and teachers and people talking over, looking down at you and telling you the way life is supposed to be. You're like, you're full of shit, and I'm going to do everything my own way. And a lot of us did. And a lot of us got hurt along the way. And I hope a lot of us don't get hurt so bad that we're not here around anymore. And that shit scares the fuck out of me. But there's only so much words and so much shit we can do. But I guess a lot of people don't like being scolded. They don't like being talked to like a lesser. And I know it's very difficult with like children and employees sometimes when you look and you're like, could they just get it? Well, they probably don't get it. They probably just in love with the dream of life, but not the reality. And they're not a hustler. They're just a get buyer. And I think that we need to let stuff go and work. That's a whole podcast, I think, in and of itself too. But I think you should choose your relationships wisely. Unfortunately, when it comes to family, you can't choose your relationships. You're stuck with them. So you got to deal with what you got. But yeah. And by the way, when I opened up with the show with my special needs, my daughter, if you're listening to this in the future, I actually miss you, baby. I don't mind changing diapers and taking care of you. I actually miss the fuck out of you tonight, and I wish you were here with me. But I'm utilizing this one night off that I have to do some podcasts so I can take care of you. And I really don't give a shit how that sounds to anybody else, but I love my kids, and I respect them enough to let them be who they got to be. And I do teach them. I do want to give them responsibilities, make them do chores. And if my other ones listen, and you need to do your goddamn chores. It's not fair. Anyways, yeah. So what you do and you don't do shines in the future. I think a lot of this stuff, as we were talking about, trying to embellish our children with these lessons and stuff, and I don't know if embellishment is a good word for it, but trying to instill this sense of knowledge and all this kind of stuff in them, we could do our best. And we should try to instill some of that knowledge and some of that follow through and stuff in ourselves. But you know what? At the end, or in the future, as time goes by, I think that everything shines. And who and what people are, what they've done, what they haven't done, ends up popping up. And I think that each individual, this is a positive too. I don't want to scare the shit out of some people, but each individual, I've seen in my life, when we get down to heavy conversation, when things make sense, such as like some heavy topics like global warming or, why I'm not making that much money, why did I get a divorce, why this and that, like, I think you know. And I think that the worst thing is that you think that it's external. It's most everybody else. It's beyond your control. But when we start going down that rabbit hole, which we're going to do in the series of this show, and a positive again of how we can fix things, I think and here's the key, is that the things that I feel like we can share on this show is that we can create a better world for things around us, but also ourselves. But the first thing that starts with is ourselves. And I think a lot of people are scared to know that, or to accept inside their hearts and their minds that the biggest problem is ourselves. That if a lot of us started doing things like using less plastics and growing our own food and getting more into community and giving some resistance towards conformity, giving resistance towards a lot of our conveniences and things like that. Hey, it's not convenient though. You know what? If we worked a little bit harder and did things a little bit different, it actually is a convenience, because it makes the world around us more beautiful. And a lot of these conveniences that we have are poison. A lot of these conveniences are fucking shit up. And then we all like to conform to it because it's simple. It's simple and it's supposedly predictable, but I think COVID-19 fucked that all up, didn't it? Huh? In my opinion, anyways. I don't want to be one of those assholes in the shows, but yeah. It starts with ourselves. And if we are born into ourselves and we give ourselves that light, we give ourselves that space, and we exercise all the spiritual muscles, the love muscles, the brain muscles, the thinking and the inconvenient muscles. Not everything has to be inconvenient. As I said, there's a lot of good shit that we have out there, a lot of technologies and things that should be a show inside of itself. Again, let me know what you guys want to hear in the comments below. There's my contact information if you're still here. But what you do, bad people I look at, your shit's going to hit the fan. A bunch of people like I look at in my life are just a bunch of talkers. It gets pretty irritating. I feel like sometimes I'm just a talker as well, but I'm willing to eat my own shit. If I fuck everything up, I'm like, you know what? It's nobody else's fault but my own. It's my own. I didn't work hard enough. I didn't work smart enough, whatever. But a lot of these people you see with confidence and stuff, like maybe sometimes things make sense a little bit, but you kind of got to watch. Like if there's a fat person telling you how to be healthy, you might want to ask some advice from somebody else or listen to somebody else. But in the end, all of our own shit is going to hit our own windshields. And it happens. We're doing it to ourselves. So stop doing this to yourself. Gain more freedom and independence. Learn who you are. Learn what you're capable and what you're not capable of. Don't be scared of no's. Like no, and don't be scared of failure. Failure is one of our best friends. We learn so much from it. So, speaking of failures, 90% is, I think, a number of failures that we have in like business and intentional communities. For those of you who don't know, there's groups of people that get together to form like a commune. I've been interested in things like that. I just couldn't bring myself to. I'm such an asshole. I like to do everything myself, my own ways. But if things made sense and I saw some inner workings that were really organized, I would love to have camaraderie and stuff. And, throw frisbee, grow our own food, play hacky sack and brew our own recreational ethanol and stuff. I don't fucking know. But it'd be nice to just have a group of people where there's not that much work to do. Like we can actually have a big giant family, but I don't know. I've been researching stuff like that. But anyways, a lot of those fail. 90% of them. Within 2 years, they're gone. Businesses failure. Shit, even divorce. The divorce rate, I think, here in California is something like 46% or something. So out of 100 people, 46 are going to get divorced. This is crazy. So failures, I don't know. In some ways, we think that they're bad. But I think in a way that they're good. I think that I don't really look down on the divorces, other than I think to speak on that note is that I think that a lot of people are in love with the idea again, but not the reality. They spend a couple years together, they get married, they live together, they have some kids and stuff, and they think that this is the way it's going to be and this is the way it's going to stay the same, and then one or the other gets miserable, they both get miserable. And I think it all stems from the ideologies and the thoughts that you had of the way things were going to be. And then they didn't meet up to your expectations. We got a couple things to talk on this. I think, in my theory, first of all, I never even got married. I told my significant other, relationships that I was in, I was like, I'm never getting married. Let's just live together. I don't need a fucking lawyer or a piece of paper or anything. We could look at the earth, all the animals and plants and the sky and the energies and everything and say we decided to be together because we said so. We don't need somebody to do all the ridiculousness and all the money and everything spent in it. And it's the same thing with my business relationships. Although that can get a little tricky, you might want to get stuff in writing, and we're going to talk about that, but in a different way, not what you think. So my advice to people as far as marriage and stuff is don't fucking do it, man. What the fuck is marriage? That's just my opinion. That shit's fucking crazy. Just live with each other and spend some time. I think 5 years to a decade, if you were going to tie the knot and really do it, I don't understand why. If you do, great for you. I'm not knocking it, but I think people should live together for at least 5 years until the honeymoon shit fucking wears out. And I think I've got a note on this is, we're going to get to that. Be yourself. Be yourself as much as possible. Well, you know what? Let's skip it. Let's skip forward on my notes here. Be yourself immediately in everything. We're going to talk about the divorce rates and everything in relationships right now. But to me, when you get with somebody, it seems like we're all lying. We're all on our best behavior. You probably washed your asshole and your all your parts and everything. You trimmed all the nose hairs out of your fucking, which I should probably fucking do. I haven't done that in a while. I call them my air ventilators. But you should just be yourself as quickly as possible. And I kind of like this thing, like when people don't show up, and remember we were talking about hustlers and fucking just get buyers. I think the quicker that I can know that somebody just wants to get by, the better off it is. That means I don't want to do business with you. I know that you may be a friend, that maybe you're funny as fuck, and you really like to smoke lots of weed or drink some beers and get really hammered. I don't want to do that every single night, but I know that if I do, you're the person to hang out with. But if I need to go make some money, you're not it. If I want to go and be in a love relationship or something, or I don't know, maybe I want to go surfing or something, and you're not even that great of a swimmer. You were a talker or something, and I end up saving you so you don't drown, and there's perfect ways, and I want to be surfing, but I'm spending this time with you. I ain't taking you surfing next time. So the quicker we know, I think that we reveal ourselves to people, I think the quicker we can get ahead and we can have more freedom and independence in our lives. Because then we kind of know who's who and who's not, right? If that makes any sense. So in business, same thing I've learned is just being authentic and being yourself right off the bat. A lot of people in sales, a big part of my business is sales. I'm not just selling stuff, but I actually I own my own construction business, right? So I have to sell a job and then I do the job. But a lot of people I notice, I win lots of big money. But I notice that my tactic is just to make people feel as comfortable and quickly as possible. And I just merely be myself. Of course, I'm not saying the F-bombs and swear words like I do on the show. So I'm not completely 100%, even though sometimes it has slipped out. I have to admit, guys, it just slipped out, when I saw something bad, I'm like, what the fuck did that person think they were doing? Oh, shit. It's just the way I talk. So it takes a lot of work to not be that way. But I mainly just come off very friendly and come off with before I even I don't even have to think about it anymore because I've exercised it so much. Before I get to a sales job, I'm not even really thinking like, should I act this way, that way? I already know. Look, no swear words. And just go in there relaxed and just talk to the person. Don't even talk business for the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. Just go in there and look at stuff and like, hey, what's going on? And ask some questions and kind of you learn to develop to hear, well, what's the problems and everything. And then I'm going to record that in my head and we're going to see what we can do to figure that out. And just be yourself, be authentic, and people respond to that. Business partnerships, choose your relationships wisely. Holy shit, man. The same thing with me when you're getting into marriage or a personal relationship. Like, you want to see what this person's capable of doing first before you guys 50-50 something or you decide to get in, because it can get very, very nasty, just like a love relationship. I've had them in my life and they suck bad. And the worst part is I guess they both cost a lot of fucking money. And I guess they both could end a career. So observe and watch before we just jump into stuff. Don't get in love with the idea. Get in love with the reality first and let the reality present itself. As I said, sooner or later, this person's going to present themselves, and you can go for that. Take it for a couple practice runs. Shit, man. Ride that bike around the block a couple times, or more than a couple, maybe a couple miles, maybe a couple road trips before we decide, hey, let's jump into this and do this together. Together is a difficult one. So I guess, this show's based on relationships, but my next one, too, is to get everything in writing. And I don't mean this legally, like with a lawyer or something or what, but I've experienced in my life where personal relationships, business relationships, people said that they were going to do something, and then they didn't do it, right? And what I like to do is use texting. Use your phone. Hey, just wanted to confirm that Monday you're, not going to show up. Let's just leave it at that. And they're like, no, Monday. And then it's like, well, you did say that the first Monday of every month, correct? I just wanted to confirm. Yes, the first Monday of every month, I'm not going to show up. And you're like, cool. Okay, so now I know what to do. Today's Monday, I got thrown for a day where I could have worked a little bit later. And that's why I'm not so beat up. But I could have worked and the person didn't mention anything. And by the way, too, on that note, I think I have Mondays off for for a long time now. So I can actually, if I have the energy, muster up these shows without any fucking background noise in this loud ass truck I'm in right now. Be able to do some more quality shows for you guys. But yeah, try to get everything on email or by texting. That way you can refer back to your paperwork, as I like to call it. So when somebody, a business partner or your personal relationship says, no, I don't think so. Like, why are you late? Why didn't you show up for dinner? Or I thought you were going to show up for this project, on the business. We had this thing set up. And they're like, I don't remember that. And then you hold up your phone and you scroll down and you say, well, remember that? That's where it's not to be a dick. But yes, you did, because people forget. For a while there, I kind of felt like I was being gaslitten. If people don't know, gaslight people just make up shit. They're like, you never said that. No, you never did. You actually said this. And they'll just keep playing you and doing this. It's weird. Look it up, Google, gaslighting. Well, I thought I had a serious problem. I was like, oh shit, because, I write everything. I'm on schedule all the time. I'm that over-responsible asshole. Have to be when you're a single dad, and running a household, owning a business, making podcasts all the time, creating a whole fucking garden system that's going to change the fucking world, and starting that as a business and doing all this fucking shit. You have to be on track, and as soon as if you have appointments, you said you're going to do something, you got to write it down. Otherwise you forget. And maybe a couple times I did fuck up and did some, but for the most part, when somebody else says that, you can actually mark that down. And I think this is very healthy in all relationships. So you can say, no, here it is. I'm here, but you're not here. And I think you fucked up. You owe me now, big time. No. Try to get everything in writing that way. Fuck getting lawyers and everybody involved. Just, I like, an old timer taught me this, is be a person of your word. Your word is the only thing that you own on this fucking planet. So when somebody else goes across their word, you were on your word, you can say, no, I was here when I said it was, not to beat this all up, but you weren't, and here it is right here. So next time let's work on it. Or you can look and go, you know what? I'm not a fucking crazy lunatic-ish, but this is the 5th time you've done this to me. I'm not doing business anymore. And you move on to the next one. So it's a positive. Next, obligations. I don't even know what I could say about obligations. Obligations fucking piss the fuck out of me. Obligations are annoying. We're obligated? Really? You're supposed to do something that you don't want to fucking do? Again, remember, we inform, but we don't form. And sorry to say, and it's probably going to get me in trouble, but I see a lot more women doing this to men than men to women. Like, I thought why don't you go? It's the family, it's this and that, and the dude just does not want to fucking go, and they look fucking horrible. And I've been to some gatherings where I looked at the men, and they just did not want to fucking be there. And they were forced into something that they didn't want to do, and they look fucking miserable. And I think women are the same thing. They're supposed to, I don't know, do some stuff sexually and stuff like that. But they don't want to fucking do, don't fucking do it. These things don't make you happy. They're not pleasurable. I don't want to make this a rated X show, but that was kind of hefty there and a little off the wall. I don't know. It's been a long time for me anyways. I don't want to give my personal life away, but years. But anyhow, If there's things that you don't like to do, you're not obligated to do anything. You shouldn't be obligated to do anything. I think a lot of our society and stuff, we do a lot of shit, a lot of things, and that's not freedom and independence. Because if you truly cared about somebody and somebody said, you know what, I'm going to opt out, I'm just not feeling it, instead of making up lies saying I'm not feeling good or something, just like, you know what, I really don't care for that. I don't really want to do it. It might ruin your relationship like it did mine. I don't want to give too much personal information, but a lot of stuff where I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't really give a shit what you say or what, I'm just not doing it. But when it came down to my turn where it was, hey, you wanted this? No, I don't want to go. I'm like, well, it's kind of important, I think, whatever, like, do I have to? I'm like, no, I can get by, I can do it. I don't know, man. I guess all I'm trying to say here is like, we should all have freedom to be able to do what we want and not do what we don't want. Some things I think are kind of, a death and a funeral or something. It's kind of good to show your face and everything. Actually, I'm full of shit. I've had some friends that passed away and the funeral was far away. I knew there was going to be a shit ton of people there, and someone mentioned to me, it was like, he really would like it if he'd show up. I'm like, how the fuck is he supposed to like it? He's fucking dead. Huh? How the fuck is he supposed to really appreciate it? You want me there because you want me there. You wanted to see me over there or something. I'm not fucking showing up. I had my own little funeral, just like I did with my dog, and put her ashes in the ocean. Didn't really ask too many people, and didn't make a big scene of it. Didn't take a picture, post it on fucking Facebook or nothing. Didn't feel like I needed to share those moments. I had my own little personal moment. So, obligation, I don't know, man. I just kind of went off on a binge. Sorry about that, but we should not be obligated to do fucking anything. Anything. And it's equal for value exchange. I think in many relationships, whether it's, you're obligated to do something, and you don't really want to do it. It's like, you know what, I really don't really care for that. It really bothers the fuck out of me to go over there. How about I get this one off? All right, equal for value exchange. And then maybe there's something that the other person doesn't like. Hey, you know what, I'll take the fucking tension out of the rope on this one so you can take that day off. Does that make sense? When it comes to business, same thing with a partnership. Equal value for value exchange. I think a lot of people need to know when you're being screwed, when you're doing more work than the other person wants to do. You should be not obligated for that person. Everything should be equal value for value exchange. Otherwise, it's not fair. And I think with your children, it's the same thing. I keep trying to get them to do chores. And I love you girls, but you guys don't really pull your own weight. You'll know when you're old. If you're watching this in the future, you know what you did and do. But I love you anyways. But equal for value exchange. When I think of this phrase, this should be dealt with nature. This should be dealt with people. A lot of you are probably not familiar with the word permaculture, but it's basically growing your own food in symbiosis with nature. I know there's a lot more to it than that. A lot of people get angry for it. But basically, you give to the earth, you give to people, you do what's good for the planet, you do what's good for you. You do what's good for your family, for your community, for the microbiology and everything else. And I think that we should consider thinking of these things in business and everything, because that's the symbiosis. That's how things are sustainable. That's where liberation and independence comes from, when there's equal value for value exchange. I think before we start any relationships, we should exercise them, and we should give some consideration to not conform to what somebody else is doing. We should not be obligated to do what somebody else is doing. We should exercise equal value for value exchange, and doing the same energy. Remember, I was talking about there's do-littlers, there's just get buyers and there's hustlers. Well, after time, and as we spoke about, the future, what you don't do and you do will shine out in the future. Slowly, all of these things, such as our freedom and independence, where we look at the reverse, where we're locked down and all these, sooner, what we don't do and we do, will shine in the future, and we'll start being successful. We'll actually start making a move. We'll start changing the world around us, or changing what we're looking at, changing what we're looking at, and changing what we're looking as, and change the person inside you, and maybe live a happier life. It starts with that, to have equal value for yourself, along with everything else as well. I think a lot of us like to give I think there's a lot of really good people out there, but they're kind of fucked up in the way that they give to others and tend to others before they tend to themselves. So what good are you if you're going to fucking die, you know? And I think it's a strange one, I know, but I think a lot of people are giving equal value for value, equal love for love, equal joy for joy, if that makes any sense. They're so busy, worried, and working that they're not taking care of themselves. And there's a lot of great people, I think, that should still be here, and they're not. And I think that they should have taken care of themselves a little bit better. And I hope that I need to practice that on myself as well. But that's like some of the points for me doing the shows and stuff, is that I know that there's a lot of different shit out there, a lot of different ways to live life. And I hope that people get inspired by the things that I speak of and the things I live by, and the philosophies that I have, and the achievements, mostly the things that I'm able to do in my life, to prove to myself first that, look, life could be different. We don't have to live in the society and the rules and regulations. Well, you know, there's some rules and laws and things we have to abide by, but a lot of the simple stuff of how we spend our money, how we make our money, how we have our relationships, everything could be done different. And I think that it could be a better way of life for a lot of us. But we just need to focus on that equal factor. And the last thing I'm going to let you guys off with here is to set everything free, including yourself. And we don't, as I said, we don't own really anything. It's not our job to form anybody, especially our children or somebody who's asking information. It's our job to inform people. But we don't really own anything. I think that at the end of our lives, all the gold, all the things that you've been working on, the things that were important to you on your dying day, and this is a positive, a lot of those things just slipped right through your fingers. So a lot of the things that we own is our perspectives, our mindsets, and the things that we've done around us. Like, I kind of look at like trees that I've planted and things that I did. I'm part ownership. I don't really own it, but what I do own, as we say at the end of the show, own it and bone it, is that I had a part to play in planting those seeds. Those trees are partially my trees. And I'm speaking of this metaphorically of a lot of goodness and greatness and things that we can do in our lives. This is a lot of the good shit, a lot of the invisible things that the invisible ROIs. It doesn't have to always be about money or success, about gaining capital and things like that. But gaining capital in things that are intangible, things that are just beautiful to look at, things that you can see that nobody else could see. In the end, too, with us trying to form our children or form our relationships or form our employees or form a better business, I think business may be a little bit different, but for most people, I think everybody wants to be free. Everybody wants to be independent, as the opening of the show implies. And I think that we have to let everybody kind of be free. And I think sometimes when it comes to maybe in business and divorce, I think possibly even your children, and hopefully not yourself, is that we have to let people go and let them just leave. Let them go. Let them wander away. Maybe they're not a hustler. Maybe they're just a get-byer. Maybe there's somebody who has a different perspective and they're trying to find their way. They just don't understand things maybe the way you understand them. Some things I think in this world are very universal. There's very few absolutes, but there are a couple. And I think that a lot of people don't get it. And they have to go search for themselves, and they have to find their own true happiness in their own direction. And these are the things, as we said earlier in the show, where people are scared to realize such things as we're doing harm to our environment. We're doing harm to, I'm not saying that I adhere to global warming and all these kind of changes. I don't know what to make out of anything. I do see a lot of goods. That's probably pissed a lot of people off, but I don't know about all these things. All I know is I can do the best for myself, the things around me. I've done multiple great things, but point is of people having to do those things, I guess, for themselves so that they're happy and that maybe they can see these things that are universal, where we shouldn't steal from each other, we shouldn't kill each other, we shouldn't rape, we shouldn't do all this bad shit that we do. I think when you're born and you're grown up inside yourself, you don't need anybody else to tell you not to do that stuff. And in fact, you get addicted to doing nice things, metaphorically speaking, like planting trees, planting ideas, planting positivity, and never getting paid for it, but getting paid in a different way, the joy that you feel inside yourself. I've went really, really long on this show. I am very honored that if you've listened to this show for this long. It really makes me feel good when people comment and leave some messages on there. It says, I really don't give a shit. I've grown into myself. Give me the middle finger. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know how I'm doing for you guys. It's nice to know that you guys are out there. I don't know if you guys realize when we record these shows like I am on this lonely Monday night. It's fucking cold here. I'm in Sunnyside, California, San Diego County. Cold for me is like 45 degrees. I think it's 45 degrees. It's fucking cold out here. Hence the beanie. But yeah, man. Guys, there's always better shit out there. I hope the show gets better and better for you guys every day, every year. And we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep putting this shit out. And I guess my message out of all this is choose your relationships wisely. And make sure you choose a good relationship develop a good relationship with yourself, man. That's where it all starts from. And to set everything free. Sometimes things just they change, and they should change, and we should separate and start new things. You know, remember we were talking about the forest fires and the blight and the beetles eating the trees. I guess I love trees so much, so I guess I talk about them a lot. But it's a good philosophy on that. Well, when the bad shit comes, you drop new seeds, and maybe it's just a couple, but within time, you start developing new shit. And I know it sounds daunting and everything, but you open up your arms, you let the seeds flow from your body into the soil, feed them with positivity and nutrition and water and sweat, perspiration from making the working out, using all your spiritual muscle, your love muscles and everything. And sooner or later, in another couple of years from now, you're going to look back and you're going to have these metaphorical trees, these gold mines of things growing inside and around you, and life will definitely become more beautiful. That was fucking great. I like that one. So guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. If you like this sort of thing, check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I put all these shows on YouTube Live so you can see my ugly face anywhere where there's podcasts, and it's all lit up and in it. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Do not lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Hume it up. Live it. Love it. Own it. And bone the fucking shit out of it, my friends.